and welcome. You're tuning in to Unbreakable Hope with me, your host, Jessica Rose. This podcast is all about seeking the light. In each episode, we chat with someone who has either overcome the darkness or who is actively spreading light within their own community. So let's jump into today's episode. I'm thrilled to introduce today's special guest, Lia. We are going to be talking about what it's like being a single mother and how you can support other mothers. Lia has a really great initiative that she's working on and a really cool fun fact that has something to do with Mortal Kombat. So you're going to want to stick around for this chat where we talk about fitness, mental well-being, and being able to support each other to include our own mothers. Thank you so much for being here today on this episode.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm really excited to get to know you, so I'm going to pass it to you. Introduce yourself to our audience, and we'll dive into our chat.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. My name is Lia Montelongo. I am the current Mrs. Illinois Petite title holder. This is kind of a full circle moment for me. I started in pageantry at a very young age. I competed at just 14 years old in the Miss Petite, Illinois. It was a different organization then, but it opened up a world for me in petite modeling and really kind of building this momentum for me in a lot of ways. And so here I am now, newly married, and being able to participate in the Misses Illinois Petite. And I'm so looking forward to that. Some of you that might be watching this will probably recognize me from all of the fitness journey that I've been on and the fitness content that I share. Also, some of you may recognize me from Mortal Kombat, the video game. As some of you know, I am the original video game actress and Dell of Mortal Kombat 3. I'm also the video game actress Serena in Mortal Kombat Sub-Zero. So it's really exciting to be here, to be part of something new and just growing in different ways as a mother, as a wife, as a fitness influencer, and as an actress. So, yeah.
Okay, that's really exciting. I love Mortal Kombat. So now I'm going to be like, I'm going to have to go back and look for that. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I love that we connected through our Petite Facebook group, and I'm really excited to be able to get this opportunity to connect with other women and hear about the amazing work they're doing. And how cool is that? Like you said, it's full circle. You started in the Petite system when you were 14, and then just like how much your life has grown and changed from modeling and your passion for fitness. And you can really tell how much you love just the overall well-being and health of humans, but you have a really special niche of humans that you want to take care of more so, and that's mothers. I'd love to dive in a little bit more about that, yourself as a mother, your journey, and yeah, we'll just dive in more there.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much for that. Yes. Gosh, so I became a single mother at 36, which was not the plan for me. Sometimes the fairy tale and promises changes. As we know, life, kind of shows up on life's terms. So I became a single mother. I was an unplanned single mother, but I was wanting to have a child with the partner that I was with. So that's a little vulnerable of a share, but I feel like it's important to really be honest about, what the reality was. Sometimes I think when life happens in those ways, like the best miracles come from it, really. And so I dove into what the reality was, and I am so grateful and so happy to have this amazing 14-year-old boy. And so during my journey of becoming a single mother, I was already in the fitness world and really found that there was a lot of like misinformation, out there in regards of what to eat, how to eat, when to eat, how to exercise, how to take care of yourself. And, I can say now in full circle, which is kind of my motto right now, or my mantra, I'm in my full circle, my full circle moment. I had a lot of shame and a lot of, I don't know, I just felt like I needed to bear this burden on my own, and I have found that with a lot of other single moms is, we are the kind of woman that's going to go out, we're going to trudge and we're going to work hard. And most single mothers have to work 3 times as hard because let's face it, it takes 2.5 incomes to raise a child, and I do feel very fortunate that I had the wherewithal to seek out, how to work out for myself and my baby, how to eat well. At the time during my pregnancy, I aligned with my doctor, who was a professional in helping geriatric women, at the age of 36. I'm like ready to receive Social Security. So, so I had a lot of support from professionals, and I actually built a program. I was calling it Hot Mama Body Shop at the time. And so it was a prenatal, postnatal workout program. And then I really took care of my nutrition. I struggled with I had an abundance of amniotic fluid, which if you don't know, it's kind of the fluid where the baby swims around. And because of my dietary choices, I was reading that I should be eating more carbohydrates, which was actually not true. But because I was increasing my carbohydrates, I was increasing my amniotic fluid. So my baby wasn't growing. And he was much smaller than what the fluid was allowing for him to be. And thank God I did have my geriatric doctor who was like, Leah, you've got to up the protein. You've got to just eat protein, protein, protein. And within a week, thankfully, I did exactly what my doctor said. And baby grew, my amniotic fluid dissolved, it went back to where it should be. And so, I had a healthy, happy pregnancy. But it was a scary time for me. I remember that there wasn't a lot of movement and with baby. And because, I do work out regularly, I'm pretty sensitive to my body. But anyway, that's a lot of kind of the seeding of where I am today. Preparing for this amazing pageant and getting ready, I originally felt like I wanted my platform to be about empowering families because I do believe with a healthy mother, you have healthy children, and with healthy children, you have a healthy family. Um, but it isn't as authentic or as honest as me speaking as a single mom because I was a single mom up until just about a year and a half ago. And though I do have a very healthy family, thankfully, I've married a very healthy husband. Um, I think it's more important to speak to the women that are single mothers that are out there that are still struggling, or even mothers that are in transition. So, to wrap it up, my Mother to Mother collective is still in its inception. And what I am aiming to do is align with different organizations. I'll start in Illinois. I'm already reaching out to these organizations that are helping women that are on their own, and I am putting care packages together for them. These packages will include nutritional plans, healthy snacks for them and baby, eye masks, skincare, things that are healthy, organic, and also to, you know, um, I think it's important to add like a journal, some guided meditations that I'm going to do, on an audio so that they can listen, that, they are enough, they are worthy, and really aligning with these organizations, hopefully statewide now, and then maybe growing it so that it is more of a mission to continue to empower single mothers because we are strong, we are mighty, and there needs to be a sisterhood and an alignment for women to feel supported. And I didn't have that support. I had to really seek it out. And so now that I'm kind of on the other side of that, I feel that I'm capable now to give to those women that maybe aren't necessarily able to reach out for it. So that's my long answer.
That's amazing. Just your passion and drive for this. And I think this is it kind of goes across the board with everybody's. There's so much misinformation. And then the other piece of it too is all of our bodies are different. We're all created unique. So what might work for one person doesn't always necessarily work for someone else. So what a blessing that you had a healthcare provider that said, "Hey, you may have seen this or read this, but we need to try this," and that it actually helped, because that's also a scary thing too, is we rely on a lot of other people to help us, and sometimes we put a lot on our healthcare system, and sometimes people might not have that same support. I love that you mentioned the geriatric pregnancy. I have a few of my close friends are considered geriatric in their
Yeah.
pregnancies. And it's so funny. I love you made that comment about oh, time to collect Social Security. I'm geriatric. But it's a really good point that being a mother in general, whether you have the support from your healthcare providers, amazing, whether you have support from family, which a lot of people don't have, at the end of the day, the mother having to take care of yourself but also take care of this child. I just had a chat with a woman who was talking about, yeah, like you give birth and then it's like, all right, get up, emergency C-section, start walking down the hall. Oh, don't forget to hold your baby and feed your baby. And the leave policies, that's like a whole nother chat, right? Is okay, there used to be this joke. I'm from military background, and they'd say, oh, well, the man, like, you're not the one who had the kid. Well, okay, well, who's taking care of the one who did? Like, can we take a step back and say it's a family thing? But a lot of women don't have that family support or maybe that medical support. So this is really cool having this mother to mother. You have this personal experience of, hey, I got pregnant, I was having a baby, and this wasn't exactly the plan that we foresaw for the future,
Right.
but it's the life that we were given. And I'm a mother and I'm taking care of my son, but finding ways to take care of yourself. I saw a reel. This actually made me think of you as you were talking about it, and how crazy would it be if it was you? There is I wrote there's a woman that was dancing about, oh, the 25-year-old fitness influencer who doesn't have kids, telling everyone we have the same 24 hours in a day. And I laugh because as a caregiver to my husband, I feel that. Like I never wanted kids. I'm mother of a stepson, which different dynamics, right? Is that ultimately like it's my husband's son, so he makes a lot of the decisions. Sometimes I agree, sometimes I just have to support. But now the tables have kind of flipped, and I have a 48-year-old child that I take care of. And it makes things different.
Yeah.
I can see a lot of parallels with hearing other women's stories about being mothers, especially single mothers. And some of the things I experience as being a caregiver to my husband is it's not impossible. There's different barriers, but there's different ways to work around those barriers. So I love that you're bringing this mother to mother support system together to be able to say, "Hey, let's work this out together. I've been there. Let's support you," because that ultimately supports the child. That ultimately supports the family dynamics. And that's just a really cool way of being able to help in the beginning. Is this something, like you growing up and you got to do a lot with the pageant and really grow and have all these amazing experiences. What was the family dynamics like for you, like with you and your mother? Is there something that really stood out to you, things that your mother did that you learned from what she did?
That is such a great question. My mother actually was a single mother as well. And yes, and thinking that again, this is another full circle moment. What's interesting is, I was a latchkey kid at 9. So my mother had to work, so she was gone all the time. So I've kind of been in this adult mode from a very young age, and I think the dynamic between my mother and I, it has definitely changed in a very good way. I was, a homeowner at 19. So I left home at, right out of high school. My graduation gift from my boyfriend at the time was a key to our apartment. I was engaged to my co-star from Mortal Kombat. So, I grew up, I think, quite a bit fast in a lot of ways. So it is interesting to like look back and see that I knew when I got pregnant, there's a couple of things that I'll share. I knew that well, this was like a planned, like we were planned to be engaged, we were planned to be married. It was so that I don't want that to be, I don't want to be misleading on that. But then the plans changed. So when I realized that I was pregnant, I knew that I wanted to name my child an important name or a name that would give the child value, so, some sense of self. So my son's name is Honor, like Your Honor. And it's the truth. Like that's his, like it means the truth, you know, because I never want him, he has a relationship with his biological father and, um, but I never wanted him to feel like he was not wanted. And I think that can happen in any kind of family dynamic. But I think from coming from a single family home myself and not having the family around per se to support me growing up, I had to develop that wherewithal, which helped me as a single mom later in life. Um, but I know that the way that I developed is more of a gift, which is why it's important for me to continue to be an advocate for fitness and health and teach and develop this platform because sometimes it's not easy for us, even if we are married or we do have that support system around us to know how to handle self-care, and really do the best for ourselves. Sometimes we need that help. So I think the dynamic and growing up in a single family home with my mother and watching how she had to, slave to work and take the train to work and do these things just so that she could keep a roof over my head. It really inspired me to find different ways. So the career that I've led through the fitness and having the freedom, even though I was a single mother, to be able to be there for my son. I think it all definitely ties in, which is, it's a beautiful thing. And like I said earlier, not knowing that I was going to get to this point and talking with you is like, sometimes that's how the most amazing miracles happen, and it's like to have this dynamic between my mother and I now, I
Mm.
would have never guessed it. I would have never have guessed it. And that's just kind of one of the bonuses. So, and again, that's gonna feed into the mother to mother too, and empowering these women, you know, when we do take the time to work on ourselves, the dynamics in every relationship can change. But just really quickly, like you touched upon with your husband, now that I am newly married, I too realize that I have two children. I realize that he knows that. He knows that. I was like, oh, I'm a mom of two now.
It's so with that, it's so funny sometimes when I have these conversations. I'm just very open and blunt about things, and sometimes I end up having to hold space for other people when they realize when I tell them, yeah, my husband's living with brain cancer. So I'll say things like my husband's trying to die on me, and I laugh because it's like, oh yeah, we were literally in the ER, this incident happened. But I'll never forget. I was at an event with a good friend of mine, and she was asking me how my husband was doing. And as I'm telling her these updates, this woman who's running the event is there, and she's like, "Oh, how old is he?" And I said, 48. And the look on her face, she was like, and I was like, oh, yeah, no, it's my husband. And she just, because my husband's nonverbal. So when I say things like, oh, he said a new word this week, or just like the funny different things that come out that if you're a stranger and you don't know the backstory, you're like, wait, you're talking about an adult? It sounded like you were talking about your toddler. And I'm like, oh, that's how I feel sometimes. Oh goodness. Gosh, there's so many different parallels that you're talking about, like the single mother. I grew up, both my parents were active duty, and my dad lived in Saudi Arabia pretty much my whole life. He was constantly deployed. So I feel like I was raised by a single mother because my dad was always gone. And what you're saying there is a lot of what I saw in my own mother was fighting to make things work. I had a lovely babysitter, Linda, who I still keep in contact with today, that was an influence on my life because she was just trying to help my mom make it work too. And then my mom got off of active duty. She thought, oh, we'll be able to spend more time together, but there was still a lot of other struggles, so she had to go back to work. So, like you were saying with your mom, you're just seeing her constantly fight to provide. I saw that with my mom, and my mom didn't have a really, I say really, that sounds like I'm really downplaying it. Oh my gosh, my mom had a very unhealthy childhood, very
Yeah,
unhealthy, was
yeah,
not provided the love and support that she deserved as a human. But that is not to say ill on my grandmother, but it becomes this kind of generational thing. And my mom did not want us to go through the life that she went through. So, like any good pendulum swing, right? She sacrificed so much because, in her eyes, if she gave everything to her kids, they would have a better life than her. When really, she could have done half that. We still would have had a great life. And getting to see her do things that were more self care focused or taking care of herself, but at the same time, I also learned from my mom, hard work and having to grow up sooner and be more mature at a younger age and taking on bigger responsibilities really set me up for more success as I transitioned out of high school into adulthood. I also went to the Marine Corps, and that will definitely, the military, if it does not help you grow up fast,
yeah.
there's, I don't know, I think there's something else going on, but um, so yeah, there's so much that we can learn from our mothers, and how amazing would it have been to see our mothers supported in different ways to where maybe they wouldn't have had to work so hard to achieve this, and that they had a support system to really help push them and guide them. And I think that's also something you're trying to build with this fitness studio you have coming up as well, right?
Yes, absolutely. When I'm teaching yoga and when I'm teaching meditation, um, I'm not chanting Sanskrit. I've gone through yoga teacher training. It's amazing. But I am definitely more of my feet are on the ground, my head is in the clouds, and I live somewhere in between. That's just how I roll. And similar to you, I can already sense like we have a similar way of how we deal with life on life's terms. It's like there has to be a levity about it. I have to bring some humor to it, because life is tragic and it is sad and it is painful and it is grueling, and that is true. And at the same time, there's miracles happening, and you can be happy and you can feel joy, and it can all be within moments of each other, you know. So when I'm teaching yoga, when I'm teaching meditation, when I'm going into the studio and really wanting to open up this space for people, it is to empower them about their essence. You have an essence. You're shining bright. I see it. It's like that's why I was attracted to want to be on your podcast, because I'm like, she's got something that's familiar. I know that shiny bright light that you have, um, and that sometimes I think more than anything is my bigger calling. This is where I am now in my journey, empowering in my platform, mother to mother, and then also building out, as I talked about, now experiencing being a healthy mother, having a healthy family. Now, within that healthy family, I can start to empower healthy communities. And it's like one thing, feeds off the other, but it all goes back to the root of our own essence. And, I really loved how you touched upon, thinking about how it would have been maybe if our parents had a different kind of help or more support in a different way. And, my mom struggled a lot, and I watched her struggle. She couldn't make it to events that I had at school because she just couldn't. And for a long time, I didn't understand I just didn't understand that, because I think when you're growing up in a home that has, you know, um, a lot of chaos, emotional strains, whether they're from the outside world or from the inside world, as a child, you don't understand. So you just immediately feel responsible for it. Or if you don't feel the same way, it's confusing, and for a long time it was really confusing. It's like, well, why can't you just get up? Just come on out. Come to my softball game. Come to my cheerleading event. Come to the band performance, and it wasn't until I became a single mom and I had struggles that I really was able to understand, woo, this adulting thing. Oh my God, it is difficult. Even when you do have people around you, it's possible to still feel alone. And I think in a family dynamic, sometimes it's more difficult to be as open as you can be with strangers, right? You can be more yourself because you're not going to feel the limiting beliefs that your family might have upon you, or how they saw you at that eighth grade graduation or your college graduation party, and now they have, you know what I mean? It's like every family has that dynamic. And I think within like teaching classes and being a part of building up my platform, really wanting to empower people and bringing out the essence of themselves. And now, too, like I was sharing a little bit, it's like I get that opportunity with my mom today, and that's kind of a great experience to have. But I probably will reflect, and, I do wish that she was able to enjoy parts of her life that I know she wasn't able to get to ever experience. But I'm able to give that to my son, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I bet even with that, being able to be a support to your mom as a grandmother too,
Yeah.
that
Yes.
is a whole different dynamic. But it's almost like a gift being able to say, I know you didn't get to have this experience with me, but I want you to be able to have this experience with your grandchild. Like how beautiful is that?
Yeah.
Uh, my mom, I never imagined having kids. That was never something that I planned in my life plan. In fact, I was never the girl who like dreamed up her wedding. And I remember joking in high school. I'd already signed up for the Marine Corps, just waiting to graduate, and somebody said something, and I was like, heck, I'll just get married in my dress blues. And they're like, what? Why would you do that? I was like, oh, because they're already paid for, whatever. Like guys do it. Why can't girls do it? I just had this like crazy mentality that way. Um, but I never dreamed of it. And having the life that I have now, right? I look and I have a son, I have my husband, my father-in-law had lived with us for a very long time. So it was like I had this kind of instant family, and then being able to have my mom be a part of that and have another kind of like support system, almost like another family that she could be a part of and join, has been a really cool experience to have them. And I'm super blessed. I have an amazing mother and father they're the kind of people that they will have just gotten out of the ER for something crazy, but will drop everything and come over to my house and help me fix something like a stupid dryer vent. Um, Not completely all the details, but pretty dang close as to exactly what happened. And I was almost embarrassed to be like,
Yeah.
oh my God, my dad is literally going to the store to buy another freaking dryer vent. It's been a thing. It's been a thing.
Oh, home ownership.
Yes, I'm like, why does this thing keep breaking? I don't like the coil keeps cracking. Anyway, it's a whole thing. It's a
Yeah.
whole thing. That is something that's kind of like with my situation being okay, when my husband's cancer came back, our son was still in high school. So then it was kind of like, okay, well now I'm full-time responsible. I got to make these decisions for, like I said earlier, like I was not the primary decision maker. I either supported or, just kind of was like, oh, I'll let you do your thing. Then it was like, oh, now I have to make all these decisions. I have to be the disciplinary. I have to take care of all the finances and all these different dynamics as a mom that
Mm,
was not quite my mother role up until that point. And oh, also being the caregiver, which is another like mothering role, right?
right.
Caring for people. It's a dynamic that definitely changes, and kind of like you said with your motherhood experience, you wanted to be a mom, you were planning it, and then life changed. Well, my husband always said that his cancer would come back, and according to the research, it should have come out a long time ago. So I never really believed it, but he had always thought of it. Like he's like, it will come back. I will die. Right. So until it actually came back and then we're going through all these experiences, I was, oh my goodness. Okay. Well, it really did happen. Right. He was very adamant in our vows that the in sickness and health thing be there. And we kind of we joke about, well, humor is a coping mechanism. So we joke
Yes.
about a lot of things. But that's kind of one of them where I was like, oh, okay, you weren't kidding. All right, here we are.
Say
We're
this.
all in. We're making this happen, you know. So it's something that in his head he had been planning for with these different things. I just wasn't really believing it. I was like, I'm not going to go along with that plan because that's not going to happen. So kind of catching up is wild. Anyway, I feel like I could completely derail and we could go over so
Yeah,
many
no,
topics.
I know. We have so many things to talk about, and it's like once you start, it's like once you start opening up that vault, you're like, oh wait, this is a safe space. I can talk about what's really going on. This is amazing, and that I think is that's what's great about the human experience, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it in that um when I had a friend who was struggling with some things recently, and I was just like, you've got to lean into that dark side. You've got to go down deep in that dark side, babe. Just go down deep in there. Look around, because I'm telling you, once you look around and see everything for what it really is, then you just have a better sense of reality. And I'm very similar to you too, where I'm just like, la 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 la, like, no, we're gonna get married. This is all gonna work out. This is great. He lives in Chicago. I live in LA. This is when I got pregnant. This is gonna be amazing. He's the guy. This is the right thing to do. He loves me.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh wait, the plans changed? What? Well, I better get back to the drawing board and make a plan.
Well, and it's like you said earlier, I love that. It's like being a yoga teacher and the meditation mindfulness, your feet are grounded, but your head is in the clouds. And I love that. I love being a dreamer.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
my husband said his favorite thing about me was I always looked for the good in everybody.
Yes.
Which I joke is also sometimes the downside for me is I'm a bad judge of character because I'm always looking for the good in people.
Yes.
And I when someone wrongs me or I see the darkness coming out in someone, I struggle with that. It really hurts me and it really
I'm
affects
surprised.
me.
I'm like, how did this happen? Wait.
Yes.
And then it's like that dynamic that I had with my mom for so many years. I would just be so surprised. I'm like, wait, how is this? But I should know, right? But I think you and I are the same person because I am very much, I always see the best in people, always.
Mm.
And that has been to a fault, it really has been. And now, thankfully, with enough pain and suffering, I have learned how to establish boundaries. And that's, you know, thank you. Thank you. We know how difficult that is. My first boundary, when I first set up the first boundary, I was like, I saw this meme on Instagram and there's this little girl. She's like in the teacup spinning around. They were like, this is what happens when you set up your first boundary and you're a people pleaser. And you're like, that's me.
Oh my goodness. I cannot wait to meet you in person. I'm really excited. Hopefully we'll be line buddies because that would be really exciting. You get to, so for those who don't really know about pageantry, when you like line up and you're going through rehearsals and everything, everyone gets split up into, at least for the petite system, in my experience, you get split up like in two lines. So your line buddies, you really, really get to know them because you're physically close to them during rehearsals and everything. So yes, I definitely feel like we have so much in common. And I could talk to you all day. I want to get to know you more. I definitely want to be able to give a space if there's anything that we missed, though. If you want to share maybe what you're most excited about to compete in Chicago, which
Yes.
not that far from you.
Yes. Well, first of all, thank you so much for taking the time to meet with me today. This has been I literally feel like I'm on a FaceTime with my best friend. Like this is just really seriously. So I've really enjoyed talking with you. Um, And I am so excited to meet you in person, to meet all the women that I've been in this chat group with on Messenger on our Facebook page. And I think I'm just looking forward to being back on stage. I was in the fitness arena for a decade or so. So I was on stage often, but this will be my first time back on stage as a pageant contestant. And so I'm looking forward to that. I'm nervous, but I'm excited. I think, I'm learning that I'm still teachable, and it's important to stay teachable. It's important to stay vulnerable and to stay honest, and to keep following your dreams, and don't ever give up on yourself, no matter what. And I think that's really all I have for today. Yeah.
Well, that's perfect and beautiful. And what a way to end this lovely chat. I appreciate your time and coming on and sharing your story and the amazing work that you're doing with Mother to Mother. And I can't wait to see it grow and flourish and how I could support you. So thank you for coming on and being part of Unbreakable Hope.
Yay, Unbreakable Hope.
Thank you, listeners, for tuning in. If you found this episode inspiring, please share it with someone you never know who needs more light in their life. May this serve as a reminder that there's always darkness in the world. Do not let it consume you. Always seek the light. Please take a moment to do the good old subscribe, rate, and review. Your support means so much to me, and it helps me spread more light and love. Until next time, be kind, be loving, be human, and don't ever let anyone steal your hope.